Hello, beautiful YouTube. Hello, beautiful YouTube. I hope you're having a beautiful Friday prior to this upcoming lunar eclipse. I am an auntie for the second time. Last night, in the middle of the night, my brother's wife, my sister-in-law, gave birth to my nephew, my first nephew, and he looks just like my brother as a baby. This like giant head of black hair. So cute. So I haven't seen him yet in person, but I get to go see him right after this, and I'm just feeling like I'm having a great day. Okay. Before we're beginning, I just am going to go ahead and clear this space to anything that is not within my sovereign free will choosing. So clearing anything that is inorganic, mechanical, artificial, malevolent, vampiric, or going against the law of one in any way, shape, or form. I do not consent to you, and we in this space, we do not consent to you. All right. So I want to talk about, because I feel like, well, I have a group of people that I meet with once a month, and this last meeting we had, a lot of people in the group were sharing that they've been receiving psychic attacks in dream space. So I myself have had one this last week, and luckily I'm to the point in my own sovereign journey of awakening that I was able to, in the dream realm space, realize what was happening and call upon my divine source creator to call back all of the energy that when you're in a psychic attack dream space is trying to be siphoned from you. And it's okay if you are not at the point where you're able to do that in the actual dream space, okay? A lot of times when we get psychically attacked at night, it will cause us to wake up out of these dreams. And the second you wake up, you can also, I choose with the power of the divine source creator within me to decree, declare, and command that all energy that was trying to be siphoned from me in any time, space, dimension, or realm of my being is now fully sent back to divine source light, purified, and returned to me in full. Something like that, okay? You don't have to use that exactly, but that is a beautiful way to do it. So, I feel like the dark is getting pretty desperate to try to keep their stronghold. Actually, I feel like they've completely lost their stronghold. I do feel like the light consciousness presence of divine source creator is here on earth and embodied in so many humans. And so there is still, though, this force that is trying to create chaos. So to know some things to look for in that space. Once in a dream, I was approached by a being, and it seemed like this being was like loving. But then in the dream, I reached out and I touched this being's arm, and their arm turned into a black twig, like it was like the dream realm space of revealing to me the true essence of this dream character that I was interacting with in the dream. What else? My parents have a second home in Southern California, and when I go down there, the dream space is a lot more wild than it is here where I am, and I have my space, of course, gridded here and protected as I like. So down there, I was meeting these dream characters in this space, and then I would get like attacked from behind, okay? And this is another way where they'll want to make you feel like you're being, you're not safe, right? They're trying to create a feeling that you're not safe in instances like this. So the other night, I'm in a dreamscape, and I'm in a room, and there's a shooter outside the room, and the help that should be coming is like not coming. And I become lucid in the dream space, and I realize that I'm being psychically attacked or trying to have my energy field stolen from. And in the dream, I did this like incredible declaration and was able to call back all of my, most of the time they're trying to suck your life force energy, especially if you are a female being on earth embodied and you have a womb. Because one thing that is really, 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 really important for any woman who is walking the path of embodying your authentic, archetypal, purely divine, original blueprint and plan. One of my dear friends, she lives in North Carolina, Kate, they have been trying to, she is very, very powerful, and in dream space, she's been trying to be psychically attacked all week. So I think it has to do with the upcoming eclipse. So I just wanted to make people aware that if you realize you're having a bad dream, you do not have to consent to your energy field being drawn into grid spaces, places, beings, deities, principalities, any place that does not feel like what you would choose. What is your actual sovereign free will choice as a empowered being on earth? And this is with all people in your life that you may come into contact with. But there's also something that I have learned over the years, this really great process, step by step, for one is first, and I think a lot of times people skip this step. And I've learned that the callback can be so much more powerful if I have learned to first fully surrender. Because in this space of, I'm going to call it magia. I prefer the term magia to the term magic. Magia, mostly because magia is a ancient Grecian, maybe even Egyptian Grecian, there's that line going through there, of when back then the people just understood the spiritual reality of life and they actually included it in their daily life. So magic back then wasn't really magic, it was just reality. And the ability to understand oneself as a divine body temple. So, then, we got tricked into this place where human beings started to believe that they didn't have access to that infinite supply. Because the light, like a light being, a light scenario, light situation, they don't need to get power from some woman or there's no need to try to claim power because they know what power is. So this is last time while I talked about how I will be teaching my daughter to really stay away from groups of people, mostly women, who think that they need to cast a spell. Okay, I'm not going to say that spell casting is wrong, because I acknowledge that there is a toxic patriarchal, I acknowledge that there was a stronghold of toxic patriarchal rule that was convincing women, like women, portals, speaking of life, birth, childbearing, portals to the other realm, making women think that they did not have the power to hold spiritual authority and declare and choose and decree and command their sovereign free will choice. And that is, so I think that there's reasons to perhaps do spell work against the toxic patriarchy on this planet. Okay, and women also carry toxic patriarchal programs and paradigms that have often been programmed into them through the lens of societal advertisements, media, subliminal programming, messages through songs, churches, religious organizations, like all the things. In some cases, even families. So the toxic patriarchy, whether that includes women or men, who do not understand their sovereign divinity and that they have an infinite supply of power that never goes out, think that they have to get power from someone else. That's not what actual power is. That is something that doesn't have its own power because it's disconnected from the light source consciousness of all of life. And so it has to go out and try to steal power from other places to feed, basically. Okay? I talked about a few videos back how humans are not necessarily the top of the food chain. And these negative entities, they actually need some type of fuel source, some type of power source. And for this reason, they prey upon women. So I think women are, the Dalai Lama, I don't know the exact quote, but I think the Dalai Lama once said, it is the Western woman that will save the world. And it's because Western women are the freest women on the earth. And, I think it is within a woman's divine right to be able to cast a spell, even though I myself, having been involved in a spell and being bound to a spell and gone through the hell that created, would never advise my daughter to ever be involved with anyone casting a spell, because anyone casting a spell doesn't know what their sovereign divinity is in any way, shape, or form, in my personal opinion and experience. But having gone through what I've gone through, I'm not going to say that it's wrong to cast a spell, because casting a spell when there is a toxic force on the planet can be a way of being a spiritual warrior. And even though that is true, it is not necessarily, I think, the best, easiest, softest, most loving path for people to come into the knowingness of their purity and their God-given gifts and birthrights. Your God-given birthright, the fact that you are a human being on planet Earth, like that, my friends, is a position of power. And just as much as any astral deity, principality, being, no, they have to agree to your sovereign free will choice, what you're choosing for yourself, if they want the opportunity to work with you as a co-creative partner. And you can deny access and you can deny consent to any type of being that you do not, that does not meet your criteria or standards for what you will and won't allow or permit on this planet. And all of us who are doing the work to really excavate the darkest parts of humanity's shadow and shine that light on the inner parts of ourself, and then be able to step and claim and realize the ways that we are under attack, and then be like, fuck that. No, I do not consent to your war. I am a peaceful being, and I do not have to be being siphoned from and stolen from. So in my story, in 2019 is when I had my very big awakening and Kundalini walk-in. And then in 2021, around my birthday, I cried from my 35th birthday every day, my 35th birthday all the way and clear until July of that year. So my birthday's in the month of February. Okay, I was being so targeted and sucked from during that time. And I was losing the battle, okay? But I realized what was happening to me, and luckily I was able to get myself out of that. Because I had the support of my family and the support of incredible light workers and friends, and one soul brother that literally went to hell with me to make sure that I was okay. Archer Studman, if you're watching this, I'm forever grateful for everything that you have done for me. And yeah, keep yourself safe. You do not have to be tricked by any government, any technocratic institution, any military. No. Like, if you are a human being in a body, you have your sovereign divine birthrights. And these are birthrights that no one can take away from you. And you are supported and protected by God, force, source, almighty I am presence. When you are willing to do the deep excavation that it takes to realize who and what you are, and realize the beauty of repentance and the beauty of forgiveness and the joy of choosing to be in alignment with divine source's will, and then doing the work that it is in this world to say no to all the distractions, all of the distractions that are constantly trying to distract. And that is hard work. That takes grit. That takes strength. It takes a lot to be able to see the matrix at play and the way that the distraction and the extraction is happening, and be like, oh, I have the strength to say no to all of these things that humanity thinks is normal, but I have the strength to say no. And the more you do that, the more you purify, and the more you purify, the more you come into this deep inner authority. And when you have gone through your initiation rites, and you are a trusted child of the light, and you are for life, for truth, for beauty, for goodness, when you have come into that generative spiral of life that is positively polarized, and you are no longer self-sabotaging, you are no longer falling for the devil's carrot dangle, when you really have seen through the lens of the way that the dark operates on this planet, and you have like devotedly decided that that is not a game that you desire in any way, shape, or form, okay, that is when you really start to know what do you know? The love. That is when you know the love that Divine Source Creator has for each and every person on this planet equally. Okay. Happy eclipse, portal. Much love. I hope this has blessed you. If you stayed all the way to the end and you received something from this message, give this message a thumbs up, leave a comment, send it to a cool person who would resonate. And yeah, I'll see you next time.